Broadcasting from the last homely house in Rivendell, Middle-earth, this is the Secret Fire Podcast, sent to burn at the heart of the world, episode number 24. I'm Michael.
I'm Brenden.
I'm Micah.
On this episode, we may finally get to hear Gandalf speak at the Council of Elrond. Any bets, though? Any takers? No?
I don't know.
And we invite you to come along, join the fellowship, become a servant of the Secret Fire each week here on the GCT Network.
This is your Great Commission transmission.
Yeah, we are just trucking through this chapter.
Trucking through.
The
I
Council
think
of
we
Elrond.
can. I think we can.
You do?
I think so.
Good. And I do believe that we will be here on the correct date, because right now the Council of Elrond takes place on October 25th, Third Age 3018, and today is October 7th, 2017. I think that we're going to be here still for Micah's birthday.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Oh, and October is, or hopefully not. Why? We got a lot of stuff to cover. Gandalf's going to blast us with all kinds of information, isn't he? But October is birthday month here on the Secret Fire Podcast.
It is.
All three of us have birthdays in October. Mine was the other day on the 3rd, although we're celebrating today after we're finished with the show. Sushi. Getting sushi, boy. Micah's is on the date of the Council of Elrond, October 25th, and then Brenden gets all Brendan's Eve, all to himself.
That's right.
The Halloween child over there. And you know, last week, we did record last week, correct?
I think so.
It was fall.
We did.
Fall had fallen. Autumn had settled in, but it didn't really feel like autumn last week. And so we failed to even mention anything about that. Did we? No, we didn't.
No, I don't know.
Autumn is my favorite season of the year. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I like it.
I'm a Yule guy.
Yule guy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, autumn I love. The leaves turning. As I said, it hasn't started to do that here in the Middle Tennessee region yet. I don't know about over there in Shubville, where you're from, Brenden.
Oh, it's whatever.
It's the same as here.
Yeah.
We're practically on the same latitude.
Practically, yeah.
Yeah, practically.
Yeah.
But, and also, Micah, this is the time when Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, starts to really be my favorite, because I get excited for the Fall Festival.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming up. And then the Yule Festival.
The best one.
Yes. Well, this last week, lift up your microphone a little bit. This past week, they opened up the treasure hunting fields up there in the lowlands.
That's a often thing. It's throughout the year, though.
Right. But they haven't done it in a while that I have seen. In several months, it's been since I have been able to do that, and I love that special. That's not a festival, but that special event. I dug up some really good stuff this year. What you do, Brenden, is you go into this field where they have a treasure site or dig sites where you can dig up and pull up little treasure chests or tokens and things such as that, and you get neat things. And I dug up a bunch of stuff that I already had, like the jeweler's helm and things such as that. But I also got some new things this year. But I didn't get enough tokens to get that Harvest Brew goat. They wanted 1,000 tokens for this special goat that you can ride. It's one of your mounts, one of your steeds. Man, I wanted that really bad, but I couldn't get to 1,000. It is hard to accumulate tokens in that little event.
Brennan has no idea what you're talking about.
Why? You don't play Lotro?
No.
What? No, that
Sorry.
you filled out the application to do this show, and that was part of it.
Hey, whoa. You asked me.
Oh!
You asked me.
Well, we're remembering events a little bit differently. So that fall feel in the air, and here I am, and I have, if you're watching on our video live on twitch.tv/secretfirepodcast, or after the fact on our YouTube channel, I have a big mug of apple cider.
That was supposedly only a prop, but he's now only got 1/8 of it left.
It's a prop. It's a prop that's spending time in my belly.
That's right.
Love the apples and you know what? Man, I could go on and on. I love autumn, and we missed out on it last week, like I said. So this week I want to make up for it. Before we even get into the show, let's listen to a song Let's listen to a song by Broceliande off of their Autumn album. Remember, they have 4 seasonal albums, and this one is called Barley Rigs. And Micah helped me pick out this song last night. I gave him the choice between 2. Listeners, you want this album, and we'll send you over to broceliande.org in order to get all of their albums. But this particular song, some great harmonies, and I think it will get us in the mood for autumn. Broceliande doing The Band o' Shearers.
Summer days and heather bells come raking o'er yon Highland hills. There's yellow corn in yonder fields, and autumn brings the shearing. Oh, bonny lassie, will ye gang and cheer wi' me the hail day lang? And love will cheer us as we gang to join yon band o' shearers. And if the thistle it be strang, and if it jags your milk white hand, it's wi' my hook I'll put it doon when we join yon band o' shearers. Oh, bonny lassie, will ye gang and shear wi' me the hail day lang? And love will cheer us as we gang to join yon band o' shearers. And if the weather it be hot, I'll cast my waistcoat and my coat, and shear wi' you amang the lot when we join the band o' shearers. Oh, bonny lassie, will ye gang and shear wi' me the hail day lang? And love will cheer us as we gang to join yon band o' shearers. And if the weather it be dry, they'll say there's love between you and I, but we'll slyly pass each other by when we join the band o' shearers. Oh, bonny lassie, will ye gang and shear wi' me the hail day lang? And love will cheer us as we gang to join yon band o' shearers. And when the harvest is all done, we'll hae some rantin' rollin' fun. We'll hae some rantin' rollin' fun, and forget the toils of shearing. Oh, bonny lassie, will ye gang and shear wi' me the hail day lang? And love will cheer us as we gang to join yon band o' shearers. Oh, bonny lassie, will ye gang and shear wi' me the hail day lang?
That's some fantastic music right there, friends. Broceliande doing The Band o' Shearers. Taking off their album Barley Rigs. If you're watching on the video, I've been showing a little bit of their website. You want to go over there, broceliande.org, and take a look around. Get yourself some of their CDs and enjoy the seasons with each one of them. That put me in the mood. I feel like fall now.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Brenden, where did we leave off? last episode here in the Council of Elrond?
Well, we last left off in my paperback edition. I'm on page 278. I believe you gentlemen are on page 248. 248
Yes.
in your one volume
Edition?
Yes. We last left off. Aragorn was, in a way, he was kind of correcting Boromir, but more so, he was just really trying to say the truth of what's been going on, in order to help Boromir understand. Mm-hmm. He says, if Gondor, Boromir, has been a stalwart tower, we have played another part. We being the Rangers, the Hunters, the Númenóreans. Many evil things there are that your strong walls and bright swords do not stay. You know little of the lands beyond your bounds. Peace and freedom, you say? The North would have known them little but for us. Fear would have destroyed them, but when dark things come from the houseless hills or creep from the sunless woods, they fly from us. What roads would any dare to tread? What safety would there be in quiet lands or in the homes of simple men at night if the Dunedain were asleep or were all gone into the grave? And yet less thanks have we than you. Travelers scowl at us, and countrymen give us scornful names. Strider I am to one fat man who lives within a day's march of foes that would freeze his heart or lay his little town in ruin if he were not guarded ceaselessly. Yet we would not have it otherwise. If simple folk are free from care and fear, and simple they will be, and we must be secret to keep them so. That has been the task of my kindred, while the years have lengthened and the grass has grown. But now, the world is changing once again. A new hour comes. Isildur's bane has been found.
Oh.
Or is found, excuse me.
Yes.
What? Yeah.
But this is Boromir.
Yes, this is Boromir. Isildur's bane is found. Battle is at hand. The sword shall be reforged. I will come to Minas Tirith.
Oh, whoops, I skipped ahead. That wasn't Boromir.
Yeah,
that was
that-
still Aragorn. Sorry.
That's an odd thing for Boromir to say.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Okay, so that catches us up
Yes.
to this point in the council.
Council of
Yes.
Elrond is beginning. Come with me, both of you.
Attention! New material here.
Now this is Boromir, yes. Isildur's bane is found, you say? Said Boromir. I have seen a bright ring in the halfling's hand, but Isildur perished ere this age of the world began, they say. How do the wise know that this ring is his? And how has it passed down through the years? How's it passed down the years until it is brought hither by so strange a messenger? That shall be told, said Elrond. But not yet, I beg, master, said Bilbo. Already the sun is climbing to noon, and I feel the need of something to strengthen me.
I want to eat.
Yeah. I had not named you, said Elrond, smiling, but I do so now. Come, tell us your tale. And if you have not yet cast your story into verse, you may tell it in plain words. The briefer, the sooner you shall be refreshed. How disheartening do you think that is to Bilbo? He's like, all right, little guy, you better wrap it up.
Yep.
Because we're all getting
It's
hungry.
contingent on you, son. I just
right.
love the playful banter between Elrond.
Yes,
Half-elven.
the camaraderie.
Yes, he's lived for long ages. His memory goes all the way back to the elder days.
Yeah.
And here's this little halfling, and they have this rapport
Yeah.
that's just endearing.
Very well, said Bilbo. I will do as you bid. But I will now tell you the true story.
Oh?
Yeah, I love this. And if some here have heard me tell it otherwise, he looked sidelong at Gloin, I ask them to forget it and forgive me. I only wish to claim the treasure as my very own in those days, to be rid of the name of thief that was put on me. But perhaps I understand things a little better now.
Okay.
Anyway, this is what happened.
Do you know why Bilbo said this? And why he looked to Gloin?
At Gloin?
Yes.
I have a general idea, but I don't know
What do you think?
specifically.
What do you think if you had to guess?
Well, I mean, Bilbo is an embellisher, and he's a storyteller, and he likes an audience. And he knows... he doesn't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Do you know that Tolkien had to go back and rewrite Riddles in the Dark? The original version of The Hobbit told a different tale than the one that we are accustomed to.
Oh, I did not
And
know
he's
that.
using this opportunity to mesh the two stories better. So that's why he's saying, Gloin, you heard me tell this story a different way. And I apologize for that. Now I'm going to tell the true account. That's Tolkien's way, the method that he used in order to go back, because it has been revised. One day when we get to The Hobbit, and I have the annotated Hobbit up there on the shelf, just ready to go. That's filled with all kinds of wonderful and glorious notes. So there's a hip tip to readers. If you haven't procured yourself a copy of the annotated Hobbit, you want a copy of the annotated Hobbit. So that's why this little bit took place. Or that little exchange, that little clarification.
Yes. To some there, Bilbo's tale was wholly new, and they listened with amazement, while the old hobbit, actually not at all displeased, recounted his adventure with Gollum at full length. He did not omit a single riddle. He would have given also an account of his party and the disappearance from the Shire if he had been allowed. But Elrond raised his hand.
That's enough.
Oh, well told, my friend, he said. But that is enough at the time. For the moment, it suffices to know that the ring has passed to Frodo, your heir. Let him now speak. Then, less willingly than Bilbo, Frodo...
Look at the differences between these two hobbits.
Yeah.
They're kin. Frodo loves Bilbo. Bilbo loves Frodo, but they are different people.
Then, less willingly than Bilbo, Frodo told of all his dealings with the ring from the day that it passed into his keeping. Every step of his journey from Hobbiton to the ford of Bruinen was questioned and considered, and everything that he could recall concerning the Black Riders was examined. At last he sat down again. Not bad, Bilbo said to him. You would have made a good story of it, if they hadn't kept on interrupting. I tried to make a few notes, but we shall have to go over it all again together sometime, if I am to write it up. There are whole chapters of stuff before you ever got here. Yes, it made quite a long tale, answered Frodo, but the story still does not seem complete to me. I still want to know a good deal, especially about Gandalf.
Galdor of the Havens, who sat nearby, overheard him. You speak for me also, he cried, and turning to Elrond he said, The wise may have good reason to believe that the halfling's trove is indeed the great ring of long debate, unlikely though that may seem to those who know less. But may we not hear the proofs? And I would ask this also, what of Saruman? He is learned in the lore of the rings, yet he is not among us. What is his counsel, if he knows the things that we have heard?
Good questions. Galdor of the Havens. He was, he lived in the Third Age, and he was, obviously, that's where everybody is right now, and he was an associate of Círdan, the shipwright. He is really representing Círdan at this, because Círdan, can I just say that something about Círdan in one of the rings?
Please do.
Yeah, he's in possession of one of the rings. Oh, no. I'm sorry. He was in... Thank you, son. What did he do with his ring?
Well, should we say yet?
No. He was in possession of one of the 3 rings of power. Mm-hmm. And so, but he's
One
still...
of the 3 elven rings.
Yes.
Okay.
But he is still involved, being a ring bearer. Because technically they are ring bearers as well. We'll just leave
and
that.
a fun little fact about Círdan is he's an elf with a beard.
What? I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Well,
good. He should have a beard.
I thought elves were baby faces.
Okay, so here's this mystery that Galdor wants solved. Okay, what about Saruman? He is learned in the lore of the rings, yet he is not among us. What is his counsel if he knows the things which we have heard? Now, listen, this is where Elrond says, the questions you ask, Galdor, are bound together, said Elrond. I had not overlooked them, and they shall be answered. So what Galdor is saying is we've heard one side of this tale, so to speak. We're hearing about these things from the lips of people that are involved. What about somebody that's outside of what's going on right now? What about Saruman, who is learned in the lore of the rings? So Elrond compliments him. The questions you ask, Galdor, are bound together. I had not overlooked them, and they shall be answered. This reminds me of something real quick. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 17 out of the NASB, the New American Standard Bible. The first to plead his case seems right until another comes and examines him. Isn't that apropos to just about any topic, any discussion that's taking place in our world today?
Yeah.
Hey, what you're saying seems right until somebody comes along and asks some questions or poses some different information. And so just a quick little reminder to us, especially as believers, especially as disciples of Jesus, to remember that and to listen to all the information that's being presented about something. Don't just take a side and say, oh, yeah, well, that sounds great. I'm with them. Mm-hmm. Listen. Be willing to hear. Everyone should be slow to speak, quick to listen, right? Just a little reminder. I thought that Elrond did beautifully in exemplifying that.
Well, there you go. The questions that you ask, Galdor, are bound together, said Elrond. I had not overlooked them, and they shall be answered. But these things it is the part of Gandalf to make clear. And I call upon him last, for it is the place of honor. And in all this matter, he has been the chief. Some, Galdor, said Gandalf, would think the tidings of Gloin, the pursuit of Frodo, proof enough that the halfling's trove is a thing of great worth to the enemy, yet it is a ring. What then? The 9 the Nazgul keep, the 7 are taken or destroyed. At this Gloin stirred, but did not speak. The 3 we know of. What then is this one that he desires so much? Let me read that again. What then is this one that he desires so much? There is indeed a wide waste of time between the river and the mountain, between the loss and the finding, but the gap in the knowledge of the wise has been filled at last. Yet too slowly. For the enemy has been close behind, closer even than I feared. And well is that, and well is it that not until this year, this very summer, as it seems, did he learn the full truth. Some here will remember that many years ago, I myself dared to pass the doors of the necromancer in Dol Guldur.
Yeah, Peter Jackson told us all about it.
In a different movie.
Well, but still.
Hey.
Everything I learned from... Okay, go ahead.
There you go. And secretly explored his ways, and found thus that our fears were true. He was none other than Sauron, our enemy of old, at length taking shape and power again. Some too will remember that also that Saruman dissuaded us from open deeds against him. And
this is all the stuff that Peter Jackson packed into the Hobbit films.
Hobbit, yeah. Some too will remember that also that Saruman dissuaded us from open deeds against him. And for long we watched him only. Yet at last, as his shadow grew, Saruman yielded, and the council put forth its strength and drove the evil out of Mirkwood. And that was in the very year of the finding of this ring. A strange chance if chance it was.
Providence.
There you go, Providence. But we were too late, as Elrond foresaw. Sauron also had watched us, and had long prepared against our stroke, governing Mordor from afar through Minas Morgul, where his 9 servants dwelt, until all was ready. Then he gave way before us, but only feigned to flee, and soon after came to the Dark Tower, and openly declared himself. Then for the last time the council met, for now we learned that he was seeking ever more eagerly for the One, capital O, the One. We feared then that he had some news of it that we knew nothing of. But Saruman said nay, and repeated what he had said to us before, that the One would never again be found in Middle-earth. At the worst, said he, our enemy knows that we have it not, and that it is still lost. But what was lost may yet be found, he thinks. Well, fear not, his hope will cheat him. Have I not earnestly studied this matter? Into Anduin the Great it fell, and long ago, while Sauron slept, it was rolled down the river to the sea. There let it lie until the end.
What do you think's going on?
Oh, Michael, it's in moments like these where I like to do a little thing and flip back a few pages.
Oh,
And let's flip back to, in my edition, page 272, where we're talking about Elrond, or excuse me, where we're reading about Elrond telling of the past. Where Elrond says a part of his tale, or excuse me, the persona says that a part of Elrond's tale was known to some, but the full tale to none. And many eyes were turned to Elrond in fear and wonder as he told of the elven smiths of Eregion. Eregion, thank you. Hard G. Eregion.
maybe.
Oh, hey.
I'm not going to attempt. I say Eregion, but
Okay.
Hey, we'll keep it that way then.
Okay.
Eregion and their friendship with Moria, and their eagerness for knowledge by which Sauron ensnared them.
Hey, I actually focused a little bit on that. I pointed that out when we
You
got there.
did.
Yes.
Yes. I believe in that episode you called that a forward.
Yes.
And I believe in this episode I am now calling it a backward.
Oh, a reveal.
A reveal, yes.
Okay, expound on that.
Well, I think that the implication is that even with Saruman, he's saying, "Have I not earnestly studied this matter?" It sounds like he's trying to show off a little bit,
Like an eye problem?
a little bit of pride. Yes, yes, an eye problem. Have I not studied this? You can trust me. It's okay. You can.
Yes.
For one thing, he's begging for the trust. Unnecessarily so, because he seemingly already had it. And in fact, in that case, I think he did, because
And
later
so what
on,
does that tell you?
Well, that Sauron had already been working his shadow on Saruman,
Yeah.
his shadow of influence.
Yes. And so this is another forward.
Yes, it is. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
I love that. That's like really taking that can and just kicking it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, 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 boom.
Point by point.
And so as all the hens are
Coming home to roost.
coming home to roost,
It's drama.
it's high drama.
It's drama.
Yes, and thank you to Bilbo for... I was thinking about this yesterday or the day before about how awesome it is that how talented Tolkien is to know that inserting Bilbo into the middle of these moments of high drama relieves a little bit of the pressure on us, right? Gives us a
Yes.
little reprieve. It's also that now I think that we have our answer, that at least up to this point, Bilbo has written all of this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's what he was telling to Frodo. There's whole chapters of things. What you told, your part of the story, there's whole chapters in there. We got to get working on this. I think Bilbo wrote at least up to this point. So keep that in mind as we're going further into the books, how much maybe when it got handed over. Well, there's a little tease. Okay.
There you go. and then talk about this this trust that the council placed in Saruman.
All of it.
Listen,
All of the eggs.
yeah, in that one Saruman basket.
Yeah, it's a Saruman-shaped basket.
There you go. Gandalf fell silent, gazing eastward from the porch to the far peaks of the misty mountains, at whose great roots the peril of the world had so long laid hidden. He sighed.
That's wow. Is
That
that
is
an
Elegiac lament?
Okay.
It is, I believe so. I believe so.
Wow.
Because Gandalf doesn't sigh unless he's heartbroken.
Not lightly does the size of Gandalf fall.
Flow. That'd be a better word.
Flow. Sound.
What is what?
It's a. Not lightly do the leaves of Lorien fall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There, I was at fault.
No, sorry. I was stuck on the eyes.
Oh, there I was at fault, he said. I was lulled by the words of Saruman the Wise, but I should have sought for the truth sooner, and our peril would now be less. And I love this about Elrond.
Gandalf?
No, Elrond, because
Oh.
Elrond's about to respond.
Oh, okay.
So Gandalf says, there I was at fault. I was lulled by the words of Saruman the Wise, but I should have sought for the truth sooner, and our peril would now be less. We were all at fault, said Elrond. But for your vigilance, the darkness, maybe, would already be upon us. But say on.
Encouraging words.
Yes, and I love it that that Elrond can reach out and say, look, it's not all your fault.
That's compassion and mercy.
We're
Yes.
all
Yes.
at fault here.
Wh-
Don't
You're one of us.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Those are all themes, listeners, that Brenden and I talk about at great length on our other show, Finding Christ in Cinema.
From the first, my heart misgave me. Against all reason that I knew. Let me read that again. From the first, my heart misgave me. Against all reason that I knew, said Gandalf, and I desired to know how this thing came to Gollum, and how long he had possessed it. So I set a watch for him, guessing that he would ere long come forth from his darkness to seek for his treasure. And he came, but he escaped and was not found. And then, alas, I let the matter rest, watching and waiting only, as we have too often done. Another elegiac lament.
Yes.
Time passed with many cares until my doubts were awakened again to sudden fear. Whence came the hobbit's ring? What, if my fear was true, should be done with it? Those things I must decide, but I spoke yet of my dread to none, knowing the peril of an untimely whisper, if it went astray. In all the long wars with the Dark Tower, treason has ever been our greatest foe. That was 17 years ago. Soon I became aware that spies of many sorts, even beasts and birds, were gathered around the Shire, and my fear grew. I called for the help of the Dunedain, and their watch was doubled. And I opened my heart to Aragorn, the heir of Isildur.
All these things that were taking place as Frodo had just come in possession of Bag End and the ring, and then Gandalf has to go off. Remember, he was going to go to, he was going to go and consult Saruman.
Yeah.
And all of these things taking place, but over a period of 17 years. What, right? Well, it was Bilbo's 111st birthday was also Frodo's 33rd birthday. And Frodo left the Shire finally at the age of 50.
Yeah.
Am I doing the math correct?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And at that whole time, and Frodo has no idea that the Rangers are now doubling their. He didn't even know the Rangers existed.
Exactly, and that's because that's what the Rangers want.
Yep.
They don't want the simple folk to know anything.
They don't need anybody's
about their protection.
They don't need anybody's adoration, anybody's thanks. They don't need anything other than to protect and to fight against the enemy. I mean, there's a lot to be said about that.
Shoot.
You talk about honor, honorable men.
Here we go.
Okay.
And I, said Aragorn, counseled that we should hunt for Gollum, too late though it may seem. And since it seemed fit that Isildur's heir should labor to repair Isildur's fault, I went with Gandalf on the long and hopeless search.
Listen to that. And since it seemed fit that Isildur's heir should labor to repair Isildur's fault, I went with Gandalf on the long and hopeless search. There's a great independent film called The Hunt for Gollum that covers all of this. And if you haven't seen it, friends, you look for it. I don't know where it's available now. Many of you have seen it. Chris Bouchard actually produced that, directed. And in fact, Micah, we used to use the soundtrack from that as our opening and closing on the old Middle-earth Minutes. And it's a great film, and it is covering this very part of the story. I just love this Aragorn, the real, true Aragorn. Hey, since it seemed fit that Isildur's heir, me, should labor to repair Isildur's fault. What an honorable man. An amazing character. Amazing character. So he went with Gandalf on the long and hopeless search. Then Gandalf told how they had explored the whole length of Wilderland, down even to the mountains of Shadow and the fences of Mordor. There we had rumor of him, and we guessed that he dwelt there long in the dark hills, but we never found him, and at least I despaired. And then in my despair I thought again of a test that might make the finding of Gollum unneeded. The ring itself might tell if it were the one. The memory of words of the council came back to me, words of Saruman, half heeded at the time. I heard them now, clearly in my heart.
The 9, the 7, and the 3, he said, had each their proper gem. Not so with the 1. It was round and unadorned, as it were one of the lesser rings. But its maker set marks upon it that the skilled, maybe, could still see and read. And what those marks were, he had not said. Who now would know? The maker and Saruman? But great though his lore may be, it must have a source. And what hand save Sauron's ever held this thing ere it was lost? The hand of Isildur alone. With that thought I forsook the chase, and passed swiftly to Gondor. In former days the members of my order had been well received there, but Saruman most of all. Often he had been for long the guest of the lords of the city. Less welcome did the Lord Denethor show me than of the old. Show me then than of old, and grudgingly he permitted me to search among his hoarded scrolls and books.
Okay, so as we have this mystery developing in the story, he passed swiftly to Gondor. In former days, the members of my order, the wizards, had been well received there. But Saruman most of all. Oft he had been for long the guest of the lords of the city. Less welcome did the Lord Denethor show me than of old, and grudgingly he permitted me to search among his hoarded scrolls and books. If we're reading this for the very first time, and we had no knowledge of the Peter Jackson films or anything, what should we be getting out of these? I mean, these are huge forwards. They're shadows of what's to come. Well, we know that Saruman has an eye problem. Trust me. Trust me. Well, if you're trustworthy, you shouldn't have to ask.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're the head of the order. He's the head of the White Council. Well, I guess in a matter of speaking, he's definitely the head. He's the White. He is the head of the wizards. but trust me. And then in this city where Saruman, in the past, all the wizards were always welcome there, but none as much as Saruman. But now, Boromir's father, Lord Denethor, showed me less welcome than he had before.
Almost like Denethor had learned not to trust wizards. Or anyone of the council.
I don't know. And grudgingly, he permitted me to search among his hoarded scrolls and books. Hoarded. That's a very... I mean, that word is packed with meaning. Hoarding is not a good thing.
No. Wasn't it Smaug who hoarded the gold? Actually, that the dwarves hoarded first.
Yeah, and then
In the
Smaug
Hobbit?
just goes... Even though he really technically has no use for it, he wants it.
He likes to lather himself in it.
Yes, I will take that. Thank you. I don't spend it. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But I want it.
There you go. There you go. If indeed you look only, as you say, for records of ancient days and the beginnings of the city, read on, he said. I think Gandalf is quoting Denethor here.
Correct.
For to me, what is less dark... For to me, what was is less dark than what is to come, and that is my care. But unless you have more skill even than Saruman, who has studied here long, you will find naught that is not well known to me, who am master of the lore of this city. Does your book say that?
Yes.
Who am master?
Yes. But unless you have more skill even than Saruman, who has studied here long, you will find naught that is not well known to me, who am master of the lore of this city.
Is that proper?
I'm going to guess that yes. I'm going to always defer to Tolkien.
Tolkien, okay.
At least English. You know,
Okay.
of course, they would say we don't speak English over here, we speak American. And then I
me-
kind of look at them sometimes and say, how in 2,000 years have you learned to butcher the English language so much and throw in all kinds of extra letters and things?
Yeah, you got a point. You got a point. So said Denethor.
That'll cause controversy.
Yeah. So said Denethor. Excuse me. He didn't cough. He just said.
See, now
so
I
said
already
Denethor.
have the benefit of knowing what kind of a person Denethor is. I have the benefit of knowing who Saruman is. And so when I read this from my perspective, this is also an eye problem. Gandalf the
Over
Grey.
Denethor? Yeah.
You're not really welcome here anymore. And besides, what do you think that you're looking for? Are you looking for records of ancient days in the beginning of this city? Well, then read on. But if you're looking for, other things, other deeper lore, are you saying that you know more than Saruman, who has spent much time here, or me, who is the master of the lore of this city? It's confrontational. Contentious.
So said Denethor. And yet there lie in his hoards many records that few now can read, even of the lore masters, for their scripts and tongues have become dark to later men. And Boromir, there lies in Minas Tirith, still unread, I guess, by any save Saruman and myself since the kings failed, a scroll that Isildur made himself. For Isildur did not march away straight from the war in Mordor, as some have told the tale. Some of the north, maybe, Boromir broke in. All know in Gondor that he went first to Minas Anor, and dwelt a while with his nephew. Say that for me.
Menendil.
Menendil.
I can't.
Instructing him
I tried.
but before he committed to him the rule of the South Kingdom. In that time he planted there the last sapling of the white tree in memory of his brother.
Ah. The last sapling of the white tree in memory of his brother. Forward.
But in that time also he had made the scroll, said Gandalf. and that is not remembered in Gondor, it would seem. For this scroll concerns the ring, and thus wrote Isildur therein, "The great ring shall go now to be an heirloom of the North Kingdom. But records of it shall be left in Gondor, where also dwell the heirs of Elendil, lest a time come when the memory of these great matters shall grow dim." And after these words, Isildur described the ring such as he found it. "It was hot when I first took it, hot as a glade, as a glede." What's a glede?
Something British.
Okay, all right. Let's do that again, make it sound more dramatic. "It was hot when I first took it, hot as a glede, and my hand was scorched, so that I doubt if ever again I shall be free of the pain of it. Yet, even as I write, it is cooled, and it seemeth to shrink, though it loseth neither its beauty nor its shape. Already the writing upon it, which at first was as clear as red flame, fadeth, and is now only barely to be read."
This is like the authorized version.
It is. It really is.
He speaks in King James English.
It is. The only authorized version of Middle-earth. There you go. "It is fashioned with an elven script of Eregion, for they have no letters in Mordor for such subtle work. But the language is unknown to me. I deem it to be a tongue of the Black Land, since it's foul and uncouth. What evil it saith I do not know, but I trace here a copy of it, lest it fade beyond recall. The ring misseth, maybe, the heat of Sauron's hand, which was black and yet burned like fire. And so Gil-galad was destroyed. And maybe, were the gold made hot again, the writing would be refreshed. But for my part, I will risk no hurt to this thing. Of all the works of Sauron, the only fair. It is precious to me, though I buy it with great pain." Man, talk about some insight. All right, now who wants to pronounce the inscription in the original Black Tongue?
I don't have it listed in mine.
I don't have it either.
Okay. Is it in the Rob Inglis version?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Does he try?
Yes.
Does he try it?
Yeah.
We might have to get to that next week.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when I read these words, my quest was ended. When I read these words, my quest was ended. For the traced writing was indeed, as Isildur guessed, in the tongue of Mordor, and the servants of the tower. And what was said therein was already known. For in the day that Sauron first put on the one, Celebrimbor, maker of the three, was aware of him, and from afar he heard him speak these words.
Oh, goodness.
And so his evil purposes were revealed.
So that is how, because Celebrimbor helped Sauron to craft these rings.
Yep.
And then, oh my goodness, that is fantastic. For in the day that Sauron first put on the one, Celebrimbor, maker of the three, was aware of him. And from afar. How far is afar? Is Jamie far? Fargo.
Get out of here.
Oh, and from
That's a
afar,
different show, Michael.
he heard him speak these words, and so his evil purposes were revealed. That also is an example of providence. Eru Ilúvatar stepping in and giving ear to Celebrimbor. What you have just done, Celebrimbor, this was its purpose. And those evil purposes were revealed. Fantastic.
There you go.
Fantastic.
At once I took my leave of Denethor, but even as I went northwards, messages came to me out of Lorien that Aragorn had passed that way, and that he had found the creature called Gollum. Therefore I went first to meet him and hear his tale. Into what deadly perils he had gone alone, I dared not guess.
Oh, you know what? A lot of information, a lot to chew on, all of this foreshadowing and types and antitypes, and even more forewords that are going on. This is so much intrigue, so much drama. You know, you were on Facebook, a friend posted on there saying, hey, I've caught up in the books, and now I'm going to go back and listen to the shows. And something about how much time we've spent on the Council of Elrond, and what was his question?
I was like, why
meaty?
Why?
Or
Because it's
just
so
long?
meaty, or just because it's so long?
And you said yes. Why did you say yes?
Because it's both meaty and long.
It's long and meaty.
There you go.
There's a lot to chew on, and I mean the craft, just the craft of writing this. Brenden, let me check in with you. It's been a long time since I've asked you this question. Here we are on episode 24.
Oh, no.
What do you think of this in terms of storytelling?
Dare I say masterful?
Like, masterful in what way? Somebody that's able to navigate, right? A master. He's navigating this story for us and giving us all of this information. Micah, I know that you listen to Rob Inglis, the voice of Tolkien, read Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit quite often, but as we're going through this systematically and discussing in greater detail, is it enhancing, or is it doing the opposite? Are you saying, "Oh my goodness, they're not saying anything"? And
Well, I don't think would be the opposite. I don't think certain things are enhancing, but I think it is always good to look more inward at things that you frequent.
Yeah, and look at them in the sense, Brenden, help me out here, where we are really. Well, what is that quote that you used from that article you mentioned on Finding Christ in Cinema that we just recorded, episode number 152? Do you think that would be applicable?
Let me pull it up.
As
keep talking.
liturgy?
Drama as liturgy.
Okay, and now liturgy is high church.
Yeah.
Tolkien being a Catholic and a lover of Catholicism and high church, I think that if memory serves, that may not only fit our discussion on the creature from the Black Lagoon. How can we go from 1 hour speaking on the creature from the Black Lagoon to the next hour we're talking about the Council of Elrond and the Lord of the Rings, and be able to use one quote from one article in both of them? Let's try this. We are flying without a net here, dear friends.
I'm scrolling down to it. Okay. And excuse me?
Yes. And coughing?
Yeah. Okay, so this is from, oddly enough, CatholicWorldReport.com.
There you go. Makes sense.
And the name of the article is The Drama of Faith. Let me get to the subtitle here. The Church and the Stage.
Okay.
So it's talking about the similarities between going into a church service or a religious service of any sort, and then engaging in the story, being audience to a story, whether it's a film or a book
or a play.
Or a play. In this case, a play, but it elaborates. Another fascinating parallel. This is from the article. Another fascinating.
Yeah,
another
that too.
fascinating parallel is that both theater as well as film and liturgy take us to the depths of the human experience precisely by showing us the surfaces. Our materialistic age imagines that the only way to know what a thing is by taking it apart. It's a deeply Gnostic impulse. The notion that is what is available to the senses of the ordinary person is contemptible, and that only the initiate with the hidden knowledge truly know what's going on.
Okay.
Now with what's going on right here in Lord of the Rings, let's see, how does that? Yeah, we're going without a safety net right here. How does that tie into what we're seeing? Well, especially with the Council of Elrond, we're being told the persona of the written word is telling us what's going on, not only at the council table itself, but the people at the council table, they are regaling each other and filling in the gaps for each other of this history of the ring. So it's almost like, literally, it's like we are all sitting in a circle with the characters, and we are seeing this other thing, this ring, something that is outside of ourselves. We are seeing it from each of their perspectives.
And not only that, but let's talk now the meta aspect of it. Tolkien is crafting this. in order to tell
yes,
this
yes.
story, and that gets us back full circle to my question to you. When I posed you the question, what do you think so far of this story? And you said masterful. And he is really crafting this. It's very liturgical. It's very high art. It's very not only just the art itself, the literature itself, but what is going on in this story.
Yeah.
And so that just ties into that mastery. And he's not breaking things; he's building things.
Well, let's clarify what we mean when we say liturgical.
High church,
Very high church. It's a ritual.
yes,
It's a ritual that is meant to be repeated the exact same way throughout time, so that the audience of those rituals or the participants in those rituals can grow alongside it.
yes,
Does that make sense?
yes. It's
So-
actually a vehicle. I like to use that.
Yeah, it's a vehicle. Yeah, and
To bring you closer to God.
I've never driven in this vehicle before. Right now, I feel like I'm still riding along. That's okay.
Well, you're part of the fellowship.
Hey, there you go. But you guys have taken this journey so many times, and yet it's like almost through every time you repeat the process, you get something new.
Yes,
And that's what liturgy is.
that is
supposed
exactly
to do.
what it is.
Even if you've heard the stories before, if you've watched the same movies, you've read the books, you've engaged in this emotional experience once before, you didn't get everything there was to get on the first time through,
Yeah,
and that's okay.
that's part of the mastery of this.
That's exactly, and for Tolkien to be so well in tuned to be able to craft this, I mean, hey,
That's just a awesome way of putting it. So well in tuned that he can craft something like this. And yes, and he drew on other great works of fiction and art in order to do this. But that goes back to that the liturgical nature. This is its own liturgy, and that's what we're following. And I'm just glad that you said that you found it masterful. That makes me very happy, and it
good.
makes Micah happy, and it makes Gandalf happy.
You need say no more.
I love Gandalf.
We'd best get a move on. There are still goblins about.
Oh, bother. More mountains?
No, don't you see? The sun is setting in the west, behind the mountains. We're on the other side, to the edge of the land beyond.
So we left with a little bit of a cliffhanger here again. Gandalf's insistence that where Gandalf says that once I took my leave of Denethor, but even as I went northwards, messages came to me out of Lorien that Aragorn had passed that way and that he had found the creature called Gollum. That indeed is good news. Okay, he's getting information. He had already said earlier, well, in lieu of catching Gollum, there may be another way to get the information that we need, and that's why he was in Gondor arguing with Lord Denethor. And that was good news. Therefore, I went first to meet him, Aragorn, and hear his tale. Into what deadly perils he had gone, I dared not guess. And next time on the show, Aragorn is going to tell us about his part of the hunt for Gollum. I'm excited. Anyway, no feedback. We sent out party invitations and we didn't get any feedback. And that's sad. Hey, listeners, which part of this section, excerpt of the Council of Elrond stood out to you? The things that we have talked to him where we dive a little bit deeper into some of the lore and some of the history and things. What parts did we miss that you would like us to share with all the listeners out there? Contact us any way that you can, and we will we'll mention that on the next episode or a subsequent episode. We'll give you all the ways to contact us here in just a moment. Anything from the party tree? Anything, any fun, well-mannered frivolity. Right after this show, Micah and I and the girls are going to drive into Murfreesboro and eat some sushi.
Oh, man.
And that is well-mannered, but not frivolous.
Well, it's not well mannered to boast about it in front of Brennan, is it?
Yeah.
Because he does that to me.
I do it to him too.
Oh,
It's okay.
well,
it's okay.
you're both
I know.
ill-mannered.
I know it's from a standpoint of love.
We're both dwarves.
Yes.
I know. No. On the contrary, I know it's from a standpoint of love.
Yes.
And it's
Like you would love to be here with me right now eating sushi.
Exactly. All right. Well. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Tried to throw you a bone. Michael.
Anything good happening this coming week, Brenden?
Yeah. The War of the Worlds radio show that I'm producing and directing. It goes on this upcoming Friday and Saturday night.
Really? Is it live?
Yeah, it'll be a live radio show, sound effects table,
Cool.
all that weird, nifty
Wonderful.
stuff.
I like that.
Where will local listeners be able to hear that?
Oh, hear it. I don't know about hear it, but they can go to the Fly and watch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a live performance.
Ah.
I'm sorry, I should have said that. A live performance of War of the Worlds, the radio show.
I gotcha.
Oh,
At the
okay.
Fly in Sheville, Tennessee.
Yes. It'll be like a chili supper fundraiser. Dinner starts at 6. The show will start at 7.
Fantastic.
Yeah, come on out.
Micah, when is Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
That's
airing?
a good question.
Premiering.
Not
Through the
for
glass elevator.
a couple months.
Oh, is it a couple of months?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's November, isn't it?
I don't.
No,
I
November
couldn't.
is next month. Okay, well, we'll keep listeners informed on that. Good stuff there. Hey, what next week? Let's listen to Aragorn. Where he's been, what his part of the tale. As I just said, in the hunt for Gollum, the hunt for answers. We need some answers now, and this was 17 years ago. Wow, fantastic stuff. But before we go, we are sending out more party invitations and hope that they don't return void this week. The Secret Fire podcast is live each Saturday, Lord willing, at about 2:30 p.m., except for today, Eastern Time, in the GCT Network studio. You can join us live for video on our Twitch page at twitch.tv/Secret Fire Podcast.
You can join us on the Arkenstone server in Lord of the Rings Online at lotro.com, and you can support GCT Network and the Secret Fire Podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/GCTN.
To find out more about the Secret Fire Podcast, as well as our other shows, including Finding Christ in Cinema and the Theonauts, visit our main website at gctnetwork.com.
You can send us an email at secretfire@gctnetwork.com or call us up on the Hobbit hotline and leave a voicemail at 507-407-GCTN. That's 507-407-4286. Now, if you want to tweet at us at Twitter, you can do so at SecretFireCast. But let's just say you want to listen to the good old podcast.
I do.
Which you are doing already right now. But if you didn't know it, you could also find it on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, or your favorite podcatcher by searching them all for the Secret Fire Podcast.
Who is that odd little fellow?
Our theme song, Hobbit's Dance, is from the album Memories of Middle-earth by Brobdingnagian Bards. Find out more about them and buy CDs and other digital music and all goodies. Visit their website at thebards.net. And until next time...
I regret to announce this is the end. I'm going now. I bid you all a very fond farewell.
Goodbye!
Goodbye. It was tied to liturgy.
Maybe next week we'll tell that joke. Allow you to tell that joke.
Oh, the goat and the anvil?
Yeah, but probably not.
Well, don't get my hopes up, Michael. I think the listeners would love it. I think they really would.
Of course you would. All right. Any folks that are still watching on our live stream here on Twitch, thank you for tuning in to the Secret Fire Podcast. Thank you. We're here all week. No, we're here each week. But the time
Iluvatar willing.
and the Bruinen
don't rise.
Don't rise. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, welcome to you too. We love all y'all. And we will we'll be back next week again. Iluvatar willing.
Oh man.
That was
And if Brendan doesn't break his laptop?
well, Brenden may be here sans laptop. All right.
All right.